I remember as a child visiting my grandparents' house. Me and my cousins would be out in the fields playing, and then for lunch my grandmother would call us in for a feast of local in-season food. We particularly look forward to her warm apple pie and cream in the autumn. Now I was very young, so my cousins helped me piece together the memories. After lunch we would sit in front of the fire playing games, and more often than not my great uncle John would come visit in the afternoon. Whenever him and my grandfather got together, they were great storytellers. They would tell stories all night, and I remember those times fondly. They would tell stories of place, people, and memories long forgotten. If you think to your childhood, or even now, whenever you've been in a family or a community setting where cultural ideas were exchanged, I think you'll agree with me, that's what makes a community a community. It's what makes a community really vibrant. For the most part, we don't do that anymore. We still gather for Christmas and birthdays, but we all have busy schedules and children prefer getting their stories from social media. There is a decline in cultural transference in many parts of the world, including in the Mourne Gullion Strangford aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. In 2018, my colleagues and I were discussing the issue of transference in the office. There's a great wealth of knowledge within our grandparents' generation, and this isn't being transferred to the younger generation. So we knew there was a problem there, and we want to put in some mitigation measures. So we had a vague vision of what we wanted to achieve. For 6 years, since 2012, we'd been running the Geo Ambassador course. At the end of the 6 years, we had 52 Geo Ambassadors fully trained up. My team and I developed this Ambassador course from one local encounter at the local bakery. I was standing in line waiting for my freshly baked soda bread when I overheard a conversation from a visitor from North America and staff behind the counter. The visitor asked where can they go and see Dolmen. Now our geopark is covered in these Neolithic monuments, but to my surprise the staff member behind the counter said, well, I think if you head towards Belfast, take a signs for Derry and ask there, you'll be there in about 3 hours. Dolmen was in fact about a 5-minute drive down the road. When I got back to the office, I'd told my colleagues about the encounter that I had in the bakery. So we thought to ourselves, what can we do to help local people learn about their landscape, but also be able to pass this on to their friends, family, neighbours and school children. Our tourism team had seen the potential in the Geo Ambassadors. So in 2018, we hosted a conference for the ambassadors and other tourism stakeholders from the Geopark in the Canal Court in Newry. It was called What Next for Our Ambassadors. While discussing the opportunities presented us at the conference at a table with the Geo Ambassadors, I had a light bulb moment. Why couldn't we address the issue of cultural transference with the Geo Ambassadors' eagerness to share what they'd learned during the Geo Ambassador course? Over the next couple of months, I started to develop a project idea. And then whenever the Inter-Eggs Atlantic area call 2 opened, I decided to put in an application. We got notification we were successful and the project was launched in April 2019. So we were now in a real position to take action on the decline of cultural transference in the Mourne Gullion Strangford aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. We didn't want this to be a quick fix. We wanted to do things different. We wanted a long-lasting legacy. Our vision was to develop sellable experiences rooted in the region's intangible cultural heritage. Atlantic CultureScape's vision is to contribute to the protection and evolution of intangible cultural heritage as much as it is for its exploitation. We had 2 main aims and objectives. We wanted to create a robust, well-researched process to establish intangible cultural heritage experiences. We did this through research, mapping, and we built an intangible cultural heritage inventory. We also carried out intensive tourism training and established business clusters across the geopark. Our other aim was to develop a repeatable process so we could deliver this project across other regions in the Atlantic area, but also beyond as well. Atlantic CultureScape has produced some fantastic outputs. One of them being that we've enhanced the role and recognition of intangible cultural heritage in the geopark, but also across the Atlantic area. There's enhanced vibrancy with heritage entrepreneurs and a greater profile of intangible cultural heritage across the Atlantic area. But the main tourism outputs are that we've developed 16 intangible cultural heritage experiences in the Mourne Gullion Strangford aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark and over 40 in the Atlantic area. We are confident these experiences will help us to recover from the lockdown and help us to develop a sustainable destination in our geopark. With that in mind, I want to tell you a story about one of our experiences, and that's from Sinead Rice, no relation, and her experience is called Ceilidh and Crack. For years since Sinead was a teenager, she'd been writing poems, music, limericks, but she'd always done it in isolation. Sinead took part in the Geo Ambassador course in 2016. But also while she was doing the Ambassador course, she wrote a musical about Redmond O'Hanlon, an infamous outlaw in the 1600s. Then over the next year, Sinead performed the musical with colleagues that she co-wrote it with across the geopark to sold-out venues. Sinead had found what she'd been looking for since she was a teenager when she was writing those poems and music in isolation. She'd found her audience. For years, Sinead had been practicing her cultural expression in isolation. She'd been writing these poems and music, but no one to listen to her. So when Sinead got involved in the Atlantic CultureScape project, it gave her the opportunity to share her intangible cultural heritage to a wider audience. So much like whenever I was a child, visiting my grandparents' house, listening to stories, eating lovely local in-season food, Sinead decided to develop a Ceilidh house experience. A Ceilidh is something that brings people together. It's where friends, families, neighbours sit around together in front of a roaring, crackling fire, telling stories, sharing the news. And remember, this was in an age before widespread radio and TV. This was a real social event where people got their news from. So Ceilidhs are really important. A Ceilidh house was just somebody's house where people gathered to have a Ceilidh, sometimes every night of the week. For a Ceilidh, and to go visit a Ceilidh house, people would have learned a poem or a song and told that at the Ceilidh. So that would have been your party piece. A Ceilidh was somewhere where you were encouraged to share your stories, share your intangible cultural heritage. It was a very open and welcoming space. However, for years, this has been disappearing from large parts of the countryside. So Sinead decided to bring this back. She's decided to develop a Ceilidh house for her intangible cultural heritage experience for the Atlantic CultureScape project. Not only did Sinead develop a tourism product, but local people are also going to Sinead's Ceilidh and Crack experience, and they're reminiscing about times when they remember going to Ceilidhs and Ceilidh houses whenever they were younger. Crack is an old word. It means fun, laughter or story, and as Sinead tells me, crack is like salt. It goes with most things, and especially a good Ceilidh. Sinead's experience is of an exceptional quality, so much so that Tourism Northern Ireland, our national tourism body, is recognising it as one of their flagship experiences, and it's going to become a giant adventure. And in 2022, Sinead's experience will form part of the Atlantic CultureScape Intangible Cultural Heritage route. Looking to the future, let me share with you one example of how we're going to achieve a long-lasting legacy. Just last month, Amharic aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark and La Palma Research Centre joined the partnership, and we are going to start piloting the Intangible Cultural Heritage Experience Development process in their regions over the next year. So if your geopark has a vibrant intangible cultural heritage sector, or it used to, and you want to use this for the tourism sector, please do get in touch. So we can help you through the process of developing these sellable experiences, and we can host you in our geopark to show you what we have developed over this past 2 years. So please get in touch. Now more than ever, connecting people is vitally important.